Welcome, welcome. Just letting everybody file in, and we're going to get started in just a moment. Hello, everybody. Okay, starting the webinar. Let's go. Hi, 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 Brenda, Kay, and Wendy. Welcome, welcome. Brett, Fred, Cindy, welcome. We are going to get started in just under 3 minutes. It's right at the top of the hour, but I would love to know in the chat where you're from, like where you're connecting in from. I've got TikTok going, we got YouTube going, and we also have Zoom going. And I know we had over 60 people, over 60 people register on Zoom for this event, which is amazing. So I am excited to meet all of them. So, can you guys hear me okay? Put that in the chat and let me know. I'm not talking to the wind here. Michael from California, welcome. Never been to California, sadly. I want to go. I am from Arkansas, but I have traveled to a lot of different states and several countries. That is where I am. Marty from Kentucky. Hello, Marty. So, Marty, actually, I lived in the Cincinnati metro area for 3 years, I think it was, until 2020. And I loved Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area. That was really nice. All right, we're going to get going in one more minute. Bonnie, welcome. Tina, welcome. Brenda, Wendy in Idaho. Tina, good evening. Diane, welcome. One more minute, then we're going to go. James, welcome. Brenda from Michigan. Oh, I've got a couple clients from the Detroit area. Other than Detroit, I haven't really been to Michigan much, but it's on my list. Okay, we are right at the top of that hour. I am going to pray for us before we get started because that's just how I roll. And then we will jump in. I cannot see your faces. I cannot see any of your faces. So the only way I know how you're doing is in the chat. So hang there with me. Feel free to put some emojis in there. Um, and if you're on Zoom, you can put your questions in the question box, and that creates me a nice little list of questions so that I remember to go back and answer them. So, all right, let's get started. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our time together and just the ability to walk through this roadmap and this information. I pray that the people who need to hear it are here and they are open and they are ready to learn, even if it's just one next step, even if it's just one thing that they could focus on, that they would be able to pick that up. And we just ask for your wisdom and your guidance in allowing them to know that they aren't alone, they aren't forgotten about, but that you have a plan and a purpose still for each person that's here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. Thank you, Tina. Amen. Let's go. Okay. So, what we're going to go through this evening, oh, Ken, hey, welcome. Christine, good to see you. Okay. So we're going to go through today. I'm going to share a short version of my story. I'm going to walk through the problem that most widows and widowers face. the solution. We're going to talk through the four seasons of grief. That is why you're here. If you're not sure why you're here, that's why you're here. That's why you registered. And then I would love to tell you at the end about Brave Widow Academy. And I have a fast action bonus for people who decide to join the academy before the end of September, because as a life coach, my job is to help people make decisions and take action. So, of course, why wouldn't I have a fast action bonus? So, here in the next 60 minutes, you are going to know what season of grief that you are in and one next step that you can take. Now, there are lots of next steps you could take, but you'll be able to pick one. I'm going to boil it down as simple as possible. Your job is to decide if you want help taking that next step. Hello, Mr. from New Jersey. Welcome. Um, so that is what we're going to do here today. Just briefly, my story. In July of 2021, just 3 weeks shy of what would have been our 20th wedding anniversary, um, I watched as an ambulance took my husband from our home for the last time, never to return. We both had been sick with COVID that morphed into double pneumonia, and he ended up being in ICU on a ventilator. He was there a total of 11 days. And ultimately, I would be told that they thought he was brain dead. And we have four kiddos. At the time, they were between the ages of 10 and 19. And in that moment, my whole world just stopped. And I tried to wrap my mind around, like, how did we get here? Like, he was healthy. We got sick. He was getting better. But how do I go home and tell my four teenagers that their dad won't ever be coming back? So 3 weeks later, we were supposed to have family and friends get together to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary. And if you're on Zoom with me, you can see that I'd ordered t-shirts that say like 20 years married. And we still had family and friends who got together with us 3 weeks later, but it was to celebrate and honor Nathan's life. Instead of facing that day excited as a wife, I faced that day crushed as a widow and now solo mom. Here's a picture of the memorial garden that I had built for Nathan about a year later after he had died. And I thought like this was a beautiful idea. Like, oh, this is a great garden. I can go sit in there and remember him and just be reminded of the time that we had together. And instead of feeling um, instead of feeling happy, I was tormented by this garden. And it just was a reminder every day, like he's never coming back. And I remember one afternoon specifically where I was like clutched over. I was sitting on that bench, I was clutched over, and I was just sobbing, and my chest was really tight and it hurt. Like, and I remember thinking, like, oh, this is it. This is how someone dies of a broken heart. Like, this is how it happens. And I remember thinking that even though my kids had only lost one parent, it felt like essentially they had lost two because I didn't feel alive on the inside. I felt hollow, like I was just floating through life. And I thought about my four kids and I thought about the fact that I didn't want them to feel that they had lost both parents. And I didn't want another 30, 40, 50 years of feeling like this. And so I decided that I would figure out how to get on the other side of grief. That some way, somehow, if it was possible, I was going to figure it out. And so I remember like sitting up, and when the tears stopped coming, I just said, Nathan, I love you and I miss you, and I can't live like this anymore. I have to be able to move forward. From there, I remember standing up, I went back in my house, and that began really a journey that I've experienced over the past 3.5 years. I would go on to interview hundreds of other widows. I started a podcast called The Brave Widow Show, where I asked other widows about their story and what helped them. I took all sorts of courses. I read all kinds of books about grief and why it's so hard. I would become certified by the Grief Recovery Institute and then also the faith-based life coaching program, desperate to understand everything I could about not only grief, but how to actually build a life that you can enjoy again. I'm happy to share that now. I do love my life again. And I've been able to do some really incredible things like above and beyond anything I ever expected. I have started real estate investing. I had traveled to 5 new countries. I got to go meet Dave Ramsey in person when I went on my own to his conference of thousands of people. I went with my kids on a trip through Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, like just the most incredible things that now I've been able to do. And I even in February of 24 married the most amazing, supportive man and even gained a bonus son in the process. So, my approach to serving widows is not just emotional healing and not just grief recovery, but really that becomes our foundation for rebuilding a life that you can actually enjoy again and a life that you can actually start to love again. So, if you want to know if you are in the right place, let me know if any of these resonate with you. I'm not going to read them all, but you're in the right place if you feel stuck, numb, lost, like you're just getting by. You have tried therapy or grief groups or just giving it time, but it still feels hollow on the inside. You're tired of just waiting for life to get better and you want to start actually creating a life that you can enjoy again. And of course, if you're a faith-based person who wants to honor your past while creating a future. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I actually have a quiz that you could take right now at bravewidow.com/seasons. And you could take your 4 seasons of grief quiz to find out what season of grief you are actually in. You are not in the right place if you aren't ready to take action. You just want to give it time so you can feel better over time. Or if you're looking for a quick fix, if you're unwilling to invest time and energy, or if you have a mindset of I can't, and you're not open to trying new tools or systems or getting support. So most widows have tried. Tell me if you have tried any of these. Therapy, reading books, grief groups, and just waiting, just like giving it time. Have you guys tried any of that? I tried all the things very much. Yes, Tina says yes. Yeah, so most widows have tried those things. And the problem, if I had to boil down very simplistically, the problems that widows face, I would give it the top three. Mike says, does this just apply to spouses? No, this could apply to grief with any type of loss. But what I do specifically is typically with spouses. The problems that most widows face is we feel lost, we become unsure of ourselves or unsure of making decisions, and we also are incredibly lonely and feel isolated. And over time, as I have gone on my own journey, as I have worked with my own coaches, as I now have coached widows for the last few years here, is I really have tried to piece together like what is the roadmap? I would ask people like, how do I get there? How do I get to a place where I'm enjoying life again? Like, what is the secret? How do I go from being in grief to actually enjoying life again? And what does everybody say? Oh, just give it time. You'll go back to feeling normal. Just give it time. You'll be okay. But I wanted to know, like, how giving it time isn't working. Giving it time isn't helping me. And so I created a roadmap. Now, have you guys heard of the 5 stages of grief? Yeah, Mike lost my mom in 2018 and I still find myself grieving. Okay, well, Mike, you can help identify what season of grief that you're in, and I have some suggestions for you. So, you may have heard of the 5 stages of grief, and you may have thought you don't really resonate with them. And if you have thought that, you're normal because the 5 stages of grief wasn't created for you as someone grieving the loss of a person. The 5 stages of grief was actually created for someone who received a terminal diagnosis or a terminal illness. Okay. And so it can be difficult for us to compare ourselves to these 5 stages that really were never meant for us. So what I've created is called the 4 seasons of grief. And so the first season of grief that we have is rawness. This is when you are in like utter devastation. You're in survival mode. You might feel like you're in your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, and you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get through the day, through the next hour, through the next moment. Sometimes it may feel like you can't catch your breath, you can't get a break, you feel like you're drowning, really in overwhelming grief or just feeling overwhelmed in life. And so when we're in this first season of grief, we often have mistakes that or misbeliefs. Mike's like, spot on. Yes. So we often have these myths or things that mistakes that we make, which is like, oh, I have to do more, 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 more. I need to do more. Oh, I have to be strong. I have to power through. Like crying is for wimps. I don't need to cry. I need to like distract myself. I don't want to face it. I don't want to think about it. If I just give it time, it's going to go away. Or I believe that I need to grieve alone. Okay. So that's often mistakes that I see people making. And so what we want to do instead are focus on things like emotional healing, adjusting our expectations, asking or accepting help with things physically around us, physical and emotional safety, and creating a routine. Now, that's a lot. And this in the academy, this takes us about 5 weeks to go through each of these and do a deep dive of specifically what does this look like. So we have an hour today. So if I were to boil this down to one thing, so if this is you, do I have any people that are in this first season of grief? Just type yes or me or whatever, put a little fire thing in the chat, let me know. If this is you, if I just had a few minutes to tell you, Tina's like, me. Okay. If this is you, if there was just one thing I could tell you, just like one thing other than those things that to focus on, what would I tell you? It is to be gentle with yourself. So often, when we're in this first stage of grief, we want to do more. We want to be strong. We want to show that we're strong. We have to, like, we have all these new tasks that we have to do that we didn't have to do before. And we just keep thinking, if I keep pushing and I keep pushing and I keep pushing, it's going to be okay. And so the reality is that we need to do the opposite. We need to slow down. We need to do less. We need to lower the expectations that we have for ourselves and allow ourselves to be able to grieve. This can be really frustrating, especially for people who are high achievers or people who are very driven, because we're really good in a crisis situation, right? Like, give me a crisis, I got this. I'm on my A game. Cindy's like me. Yeah, yeah, I'm really good in crisis. I'm not so great at being gentle with myself and about being able to say, I can rest. I can allow other people to support me. I can carve out time to heal emotionally and be vulnerable with somebody else. Yeah, I wasn't so good at this. Mike, is this why I've stayed in this for so long? It could be. And there is a program that I teach. And I'm going to tell you about it later. But Mike, I'll just tell you this grief recovery book and this grief recovery method program. If you have not done it, this will like unlock a door for you in regards to grief and processing that. So check out that book. I also facilitate it as well. Okay. So I just want to tell you really quickly about one of my clients, Michelle, and you can see her picture here on Zoom. So when I first met Michelle, she was overwhelmed by grief. She was trying to raise four kids like I was at one point. She could not get a consistent routine. Like she was just exhausted every day by trying to get through the day. And she felt like everything else was more important than her. The laundry was more important, the dishes were more important, the kids' homework was more important. Like everything was more important than her. She also had lost greatly her sense of confidence because her husband was the person who provided that. Her husband was the person who um, really boosted her confidence, that helped her make decisions. And so she felt like she was really floundering, not only with making decisions, but being able to try new things. I work with Michelle one-on-one for 6 months, and Michelle literally reclaimed her voice and her life. She discovered that she had a unknown talent for singing, so now she's part of a singing group. She has rebuilt her routine and her confidence, and we worked for months for her to be able to establish a consistent routine where she could carve out time to get physical movement and exercise in. And so she does that multiple times a week now. And now, instead of feeling exhausted when she's interacting with her family, she feels energized and like she has the energy to show up for her family. So, Michelle, in working with me, said here, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And you can watch Michelle's story on my website over at Brave Widow. She tells her story and what she experienced. Okay, season one, rawness. Season two, isolation. Okay. So season two is now I'm no longer drowning. Now I have my feet underneath me a little bit better, and I have a new routine and I hate it. This is not like, is this it? That was kind of my biggest experience here is like, is this it? Like this, there's more, right? Like just this is life now. This, like what I'm living every day is this. And it's very isolating because in grief, we often withdraw. And I think about it like hibernating into a cave, right? We turn inward because we're trying to survive. That's all we have the energy for. But in the second season of isolation, we start to come out of the cave and we're looking around to get our bearings. And it's like, where did everybody go? Like everybody disappeared. Most widows will experience a loss of 75% of their social circle in the first year. And so it's incredibly isolating to have lost people who are around you. So some of the mistakes that we tend to make in this second season of grief is waiting to, Joanne's like, yep. Is that you, Joanne? Are you in this season? Waiting to feel ready, joining groups that don't align or don't fit with the path that we're on, ghosting invites from people and just kind of floating through life, just kind of letting life happen around us. So when we're in isolation, what are the things that we want to focus on? We want to plug into a community of other people who are on a similar journey. We want to explore our new identity and who we are now and what we want for the future. We want to focus on dreams that are really small. Because in the beginning, if I were to tell you, like, oh, you can love your life again, it's going to be great, you're going to do all these great things, you might be thinking, like, I don't really believe that. That's like too good. That's like too good to be true, right? But if I were to tell you in this season, like, look, you feel lonely right now. And so we want to feel more connection. We want to feel seen by other people. Those are things that are achievable and that feels maybe more believable for people that are in this season right here. So if you were in isolation and I only had like 60 seconds to tell you one next step to focus on here, It would be to connect with a friend, maybe to reconnect with a friend. And here it can be really lonely if you feel like everybody's disappeared, people are gone, no one reaches out and checks up on you anymore. Does any of this sound familiar to people? And so we kind of get in this mindset of like, well, I shouldn't have to reach out. I shouldn't have to invite people. People should be checking on me. I shouldn't have to be asking someone about going to coffee or going to lunch or doing these things. And he's like, yes. And, you're right. You shouldn't have to do that. And also, you get to decide. You get to decide. If you want to continue how you're continuing right now, you're going to continue to get the results that you're getting right now. And so we can decide that we're going to rebuild life and we're going to rebuild our social circle and we're going to put the awkward, weird, uncomfortable first step forward. And we're going to reach out to other people to form those connections and to start to rebuild that sense of community. Mike says, I find myself avoiding social situations. Yes. And there's a lot of reasons why that could be happening. But yeah, it's very normal. That makes you a normal person. So let me tell you really quickly about one of my clients, Karen. She did a whole podcast episode on with me on the Brave Widow show. Karen's a big advocate for Brave Widow, and when I met her, she had lost her husband 3.5 years before. She tried counseling, and the counselor told her it had been long enough. She needed to move on. She tried a grief group and just didn't resonate with any of the people in the group. And she was just frustrated. Like she was overwhelmed. She has adult children that she's trying to parent. She had no boundaries. People just walked all over her. She would come across as combative, and she shares this on the podcast, so it's public information. But there was a time where her HR leader sat her down and basically said, like, your work performance isn't cutting it. And you're going to have to take some mandatory emotional intelligence classes. And we're putting you on this performance improvement plan, which, if you don't know, is basically like either you're going to change your behavior real fast or you're no longer going to work here. And so that was right around the same time that Karen and I met back November of last year. And she and I started working together. We did this program here, Grief Recovery Method, together and the one-on-one coaching. And within 3 to 4 months, not only did the way Karen processed grief completely change, but everyone else around her noticed the change too. Like her employer sat her down and said, what are you doing? Like, you're not even the same person anymore. And this is just within 3 to 4 months. So not only did she finally feel heard, she began to learn how to process grief. She learned how to regulate her own emotions and how she responded to other people. But her employer noticed the change so much, they canceled the mandatory emotional intelligence classes, and instead they paid for her to have coaching through Brave Widow, which was like amazing to have your employer do that. Do you know the episode numbers offhand? Yeah, I thought I had that on here. I don't see it, but I'll let you know, Wendy. I'll put that in towards the end. So Karen said, being part of Brave Widow has been an answer to a 4-year-long prayer. It has changed my life and given me a new outlook in an extremely short amount of time that I never expected. Thank you, Tina. I'll look. Um, it's been a couple of months since it came out. Okay. Do you think after you go through probate, grief can become more manageable? Um, yes and no. I think getting through probate, getting through some milestones in general can help. But I also think that you want to have a dedicated time to process grief, a dedicated channel that you are proactively working on emotional healing. Um, Mike, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we had Rawness, season number 1. Isolation, season number two. Are you ready for number three? This is self-discovery. Okay. So in self-discovery, this is where typically as grievers, we start to go, okay, I want to figure out who I am now, what I want more of in my life, what do I like, what do I not like, what do I want life to look like? We're starting to like uncover who we want to be now. And Miss T, you are so welcome. So, some mistakes that people make in self-discovery is we often feel guilty. We give up. We have a hard day and tell ourselves that I've gone backwards. Like I thought I was doing really good, and then I had a hard day, and now ugh, I just want to give up. It's like I've gone backwards. We also are full of fear and doubt with trying new things or meeting new people or going new places. So we often hold ourselves back. And one of the underlying questions is like, am I doing this whole grief thing right? Is this normal? Am I doing this right? And should I even want to enjoy life again? Like maybe I shouldn't even want that because my person isn't here. Like, what's the point? And the biggest thing I want you to know about this season of grief is that this is where most grievers get stuck because they start to take baby steps forward to figure out who they want to be now, what they want more of in life, what they want like to look like. And then they'll have a grief wave that comes up, or they'll start to feel guilty, or they'll start to feel a lot of anxiety, and they'll go back down. Like they'll go back to isolation. And so then we get like this vicious cycle over and over and over where people just really start to question, like, is there a point to this? Why am I even trying? Should I even be trying this? I had that at the beginning. I felt guilty enjoying what I was doing. Yeah, that is very normal. Guilt and grief is very normal. Not that you should feel that, and there's a way to navigate around it, but it is a normal reaction. So, when you are in self-discovery, what should you focus on? Okay, we want to try new things. We want to take risks where it feels like the stakes are low. Okay, so I'm not saying take huge risks. If we want to learn how to take risks, we want to learn basically what we want to learn is how to navigate through fear and how to navigate the unknown. Like that is one core skill I teach people to build like a muscle, which is I don't have the answers, I don't have control, I don't know how this is going to turn out, and I want to feel so afraid and terrified and awkward and weird, and I'm going to do it anyway. That is why it's called Brave Widow, not Fearless Widow, because we feel all the squishiness and the grossness and the fear and the anxiety, and we decide to step forward anyway. We, in self-discovery, want to grow our capacity for both and, which are like, what? So think about it this way. You might think on one hand, I love my old life, I love my person, and I miss that. I love my new life. I love who I am now, and I'm excited about it. Most of us think it has to be one or the other. You can't have both. Either you're sad and you miss your person, or you're happy about the future, or you're curious about it, you're excited about it, but you can't have both. What I teach people to do is to grow your capacity and hold all these big jumbled up emotions at the same time. So, yeah, you can be sad for your old life and you can miss your person and you can laugh at something that's funny and you can be like, oh, I get to try new hobbies now. Well, that's kind of exciting. I haven't done that in a long time. You get to do both. One does not diminish the other. Okay. You want to have a community of other people on the same journey, not just any community, because there are some communities that focus on things like, it never gets better. It's always awful. It's horrible. Some communities are not growth focused. They're not future focused. They're not action focused. So you want to find a community of people who are learning and growing and stepping forward, and you want to rebuild your social circle. So if I had to boil it down to one thing, just one simple step, okay, if you're in the season, is to try something new. Try something new. Be like a little kid for the first time in years. Go to a pottery class. Go to a line dancing class. Go to a Bitcoin class. Like, try something new that you will probably be horrible at, that you know nothing about, that puts you in a state of curiosity and wonder and like, oh, I haven't felt like alive in a really long time. Like, this is the first time I feel alive. So try something new. One does not diminish the other. Wow, that's heavy. Yes. And also very freeing at the same time. So Casey, I'll tell you about when I first met Casey. That's almost been a year ago, and she felt very frozen in her grief. She was seeing a counselor. She still works with a counselor to process some things with grief, and felt like her pat therapy was helping her with the past, but she wasn't like moving forward. She was like, "Well, now what am I supposed to do? Now what is my next step?" And she also realized that her daughter had lost her father. She didn't want her daughter to also lose her mother. And so after Casey also has been on the Brave Widow show, that's a more recent episode, Wendy. And so now, and Casey just launched her own podcast here at the first part of September. It's called the Widow Fire Podcast. And Casey's hair is like bright red if you can't see it. So it's just beautiful. Um, Casey was a caretaker for her husband for several years before he passed, and she was a new mama with a 5-month-old baby when her husband passed. So she's gone through a lot with being a new mom, a young mom, and a young widow. But now she's made several updates in her home, whereas if she felt frozen, like she couldn't make changes, she couldn't step forward. She also feels like now she can make decisions without second guessing, without spiraling, that she can start to feel normal with having some momentum. So Casey says therapy sorts the past, but coaching helped me focus on the future. My time is up. Now I'm following you. Thank you. You're so welcome. Send me a DM and I'll be happy to chat with you more. Okay, we had rawness, isolation, self-discovery, and now empowerment. So, empowerment is the fourth season of grief. Empowerment is really like because you went through self-discovery, you're super clear now on who you are, who you decide you're going to be, what you want in your future. You have boundaries. You don't people please. Your perspective and your vision is so sharp for what's important to you and for what you want. And you're just in the pursuit of that. You're in the pursuit of what you want in your life. So, some mistakes that people can make here is people pleasing. I work with several clients who um, they struggle with family, dysfunctional families, toxic families, difficult relationships. And so people pleasing, when you've done that your whole life for 50, 60, 70 years, is really hard to change, or feels really hard to change. Um, People can also feel like they're a victim of their circumstances. They can be like, I have no control. I have no ability to change my life. Or they tend to settle for less. Okay. So in empowerment, what we want to focus on is getting very clear about what you want for the future. And Joanne says, I think I'm in isolation. When you're earlier on in grief, right? Like you're in season 1 or 2, your future is very hazy. It isn't clear. And you're like, I have no idea what I want because maybe I don't even want a future. I want my past back. I want to go backwards. And unfortunately, we can't go backwards. So, in the earlier stages of grief, when we think about what you want for the future, and you're like, I have no idea, we start with what do you want more of in your life? What do you want to feel more of? So, Joanne, I'll ask you, what do you want to feel more of? Do you want to feel more gentleness? Do you want to feel more adventure? Do you want to feel more stability? Like what are two or three things that you want to feel more of? And we start pulling more of that in your life. But by the time you get to the season of empowerment, you are much more clear. Like, oh, I want to be somebody who travels. I want to be somebody who plays pickleball twice a week. I want to change my family tree and how I relate and communicate with people. I have goals that feel purposeful and meaningful. I want to grow and develop myself, and I want to help other people or mentor other people along this journey. And so, when you're in empowerment, if we were going to simplify it, Joanne says stability for sure. Perfect. Yeah. So, in empowerment, your one simple step is to decide what you want more of in your life. And then we bring more of that in. So, my last client story here is an amazing widow named Sue. Sue has been with me almost 3 years now. She's like an OG brave widow. She's amazing. And when I first met Sue, she hated being called a widow. Do you guys hate being called a widow? Did you used to hate it? Yeah, I hated it too. It felt like a nasty label that I didn't want, and that wasn't me. Like that was for other people. Tina's like, yes, I hate it. Yeah, I hated being called a widow. Sue was also very unsure about the future. She felt lonely and disconnected. But now Sue travels to new places on her own. She has written a best-selling book and she's co-authored two other best-selling books. She is very active in several communities that are focused on growth and self-development. And now she is able to help other people who are grievers. And she will tell you, not that she loves being called a widow, but now we view it so much differently because now I know what it means to be a widow. I know the resilience, the like incomprehensible generosity of people who have gone through something so traumatic and how they want to help other people and they want to support each other and just be open with each other and like just the incredible amount of growth and resilience and tenacity that you have as a widow. Now I'm proud. It's my scar that's now my badge of honor. And Sue very much feels the same way. I feel like Sue before, says Judy. Yeah, that's completely normal. So Sue is well into the fourth season of grief here and into empowerment. And she says, I used to hate being called a widow until I met Emily. So here's a look, if you're on the Zoom, here's a look at all four seasons: rawness, isolation, self-discovery, and empowerment. So type in the chat what season that you think you're in. And this isn't to put you in a box. It's called a season because it's transitional, right? Like if you're in Arkansas with me, one day is really hot, the morning's cold, the weather's kind of going back and forth right now. So this isn't to put you in a box. It's just to help you know like where you are on the journey. Yeah, self-discovery, rawness, isolation. My year is coming near October 3rd. I lost my husband. I'm so sorry, Kelly. Isolation, 14 months in. I think I'm slowly approaching empowerment. That is amazing. I don't like being called a widow. I have put single. I understand. So, um, yeah, super interesting. So the reason I created these four seasons is because I wanted to like lay out the roadmap of what to expect. Because I want you to know if you're in rawness or you're in isolation, that there can be a better season for you in the future and what that actually looks like. Not to take away your pain, not to tell you, like, oh, don't feel bad, don't be sad because a better season is coming. No. If you're in a season of grief and a season of suffering, like we feel it, we process it, we honor it. And also, we don't live without any hope that it will never get better. that something better isn't possible for you. It is. Between isolation and self-discovery. Bonnie, I love you for saying that because that is where most widows get stuck. It's like this cycle between these two. And the majority of my clients, that's where they find me, is somewhere between isolation and self-discovery of like, okay, I'm not in deep grief, but also I can't figure out like what is the next step, what I need to do. And so, isolation, it's only been 3 months. Yeah. So here's the thing. The myth that most people believe in grief is that they just need to give it time. But what I learned when I went through Grief Recovery Institute, and their exact quote is, the key to recovery and grief is action, not time. Had a lady named Sobia on the podcast, and she talked about how she suppressed her grief for 3 years, waiting for time to just make her feel better. And she realized that 3 years later, she actually felt worse than she did when her husband died. It's a beautiful story with it does have a happy ending, yes. I've talked with widows who have been grieving for 7 years, for 10 years. They still feel stuck. They still feel like they don't know what next step to take. And so I'm here to tell you time is a component of healing, yes. Just like if I want to get fit and I want to be able to lift heavy weights, I have to go to the gym and I have to lift weights consistently. It takes time. I can't just go to the gym one day and everything's perfect. It does take time. But if all I gave it was time and I sat on my couch and just waited, I would not be getting any stronger. In fact, I might be getting weaker, right? So time is a component, but time isn't the only thing. So it's what you do with your time that will help you. I'm 2 months and my husband passed July 31st and it's still raw. I could scream at people who tell me it will get better in time and I know how you feel. I want to throat punch them. I am so mad. Tina, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I also, where I can, try to extend grace to people because until someone has gone through it, and even sometimes when you have, you just don't know what to say. So you just kind of default to what you know to say. Okay? That doesn't make it hurt any less. So I feel for you there. Trust me, I got super angry, irritated mostly. Okay, so the problems that we have trying to figure all of this out as widows is we feel lost, we're unsure, and we're lonely. So if we were just to simply map that over, it means we need guidance, we need confidence, and we need a sense of connection. So how does all of this like come together? What can we do other than just wait and give it time? Okay? So what it looks like inside of Brave Widow and what I do is when you're feeling lost and you need guidance, I have coaching inside of Brave Widow. When you're unsure and you need confidence, we learn how to take action that builds confidence. You're lonely, you need connection. We have an amazing community of people inside of Brave Widow who are also on a journey of healing their heart and building a life that they love. Karen, it's been 4 years in October and I'm still grieving. You're right, I'm getting weaker. Sorry, Karen. Your lives are very helpful. Thank you, Joanne. I love seeing your name every time. So I would love to tell you about the Brave Widow Academy for those of you that want to hear about it. So remember I said in the beginning that you would learn in our time together in this 60 minutes, you would learn your season and at least one next step that you could take. So you can take that one next step and you can YouTube and read books and try to piecemeal everything together, which is what I tried to do. And it was super frustrating and difficult and time consuming. And so you have an option now for guidance and help and community if that's something you're interested in. So, what we do in Brave Widow is we have a group coaching program called the Brave Widow Academy. And it is called the Academy because it's a structured curriculum and a roadmap where every week we're covering topics in each of our courses that teach us how to go from deep grief to healing your heart, to rebuilding your social circle, to rebuilding your trust, to loving your life again. And so my next round of Brave Widow Academy is starting on November the 10th. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. And inside of there, you not only get group coaching calls every week, but you also get 24/7 messaging access to me anytime. Message me. You need help, you need feedback, you have a question, you're struggling, you are in a negative thought spiral, your family sends you a nasty text message, you don't know how to respond. Like I get all sorts of requests that come through there. And so our calls starting in November will be 4 to 6 Eastern time in the afternoon or 3 to 5 Central. And you can do the math if you're in another time zone there. Inside the academy, we have a curriculum. And so the first part of our curriculum is going through grief recovery method, which is this program here. It was the first evidence-based grief recovery program in the entire world. Okay. It is the only program outside of Brave Widow that teach. I'm licensed and certified to teach it, and that I put my name behind. Okay. So, Mike, I know how to drop, but he was asking me where to start because it's been several years. If you've not done this, this is where you start. And if you don't do it with me, it doesn't matter to me. Go do this with someone else. Go griefrecoverymethod.com. You can do it in person. You could do it online. Doesn't matter. Just go do it. That's where we start. Okay. So then this builds our foundation. And then once we have the tools to navigate grief, once we understand grief, we know how to navigate it, we know how to process it, that gives us a solid foundation so that when we start trying to do some of these other things, we have the solid foundation that we can come back to as part of this journey. Because I don't just say, oh, you went through a grief recovery program. Well, good luck out in the world. Best wishes. Bye. No, this is where we start. We start with healing your heart. But that's just where we start. We got your life to rebuild. Okay? So we start with healing your heart. Then we get you out of survival mode. So your nervous system is all tensed up, worked up. It's hard to function. It's hard to think clearly, to feel that you are not overwhelmed constantly. I take you through something called Chaos to Calm Blueprint. Then we work on rebuilding your confidence in yourself, confidence to make decisions, confidence to try new things. That's in the self-trust system. Then we learn how to rebuild your social circle. So I don't care how old you are. I can teach you how to go meet people and make friends. And I get it. At 40, 50, 60, 70, you're sitting there thinking, I shouldn't have to go make new friends. Who would want to be my friend? Oh, widow, that's super exciting. Who wants to be friends with me? People want to be friends with you. This is one of the loneliest times we've had in society for a long time. People want to be friends with you. Are you a widow? Yes, I've been widowed 4.5 years now. We also go through the Discover Your Purpose plan so you can find a sense of purpose and meaning in your life again. And then we create the life that you love using the Move Forward method. Okay, so that's the curriculum for those of you who like lifelong learning, you like being a student, you like learning all the details. That's what the curriculum looks like. So I want to ask you, what would it be worth to you to feel clear instead of feeling lost? To feel confident instead of always feeling unsure and second guessing yourself? to feel connected instead of feeling lonely. Loneliness is really hard for me. Yeah, of course. It's one of the top three things that widows and my clients struggle with. So, what would it be worth if loneliness wasn't something that you struggled with anymore? Okay. So, in inviting you to the academy is not going to cost you what it cost me to learn a third of the things that I'm teaching you today and that I would teach you over the course of the next 6 months. So I invested $14,000 to go through Faith-Based Life Coaching Academy and to go through Grief Recovery Institute. I've invested an additional multiple tens of thousands of dollars to be coached on different areas and to learn how to help other people. But I'm not going to ask you to invest that, what I'm investing in. That would be so awesome. Yeah. I'm not going to ask you to invest $8,000, which is what I charge for one-on-one coaching, or even 5,000, which is what I used to charge for one-on-one coaching. But to join the academy, our 6-month program is one-time payment of $3,000. With that, if you enroll early, so the academy starts November the 10th, which is a Monday. Our calls are on Mondays. And if you decide to enroll before the end of September, so you'd be enrolling early, then I will gift you 3 private one-on-one calls that you can use at any time between now and between the time that Academy ends. Early access to everything that's been recorded and to all the past live coaching calls. So this will be the third round of the academy. So you've got all the courses that have already been recorded, all the past live coaching calls. So you want to be able to learn from other people. Or let's say that you want to work on your confidence now. You don't want to wait for the academy. You have access to all that. And then in October, we're going to do two pre-launch coaching calls. So two group coaching calls between now and November when we officially kick off and meet every single week. My son's grandma just lost her husband of 50 years in March. Oh, that's really hard. 50 years, that's like incredible. So, if you're not sure, you're like, okay, this is the first time I'm hearing about this academy, stranger off the internet. I don't really know about this. Then I'm going to invite you to schedule a consult call with me. The consult call is free and there's no pressure. And I will send you notes at the end. Joanne, that's a lot of money. You bring up a great point. $3,000, that's not pocket change. It can be a lot of money. I also know that taking a vacation is a lot of money. Remodeling a room in a house is a lot of money. Fixing up your car when it breaks down is a lot of money. And so for me, it's about being willing to invest, not in a 6-month program, being able to invest in yourself to learn the tools and the skills that will help you the rest of your life. Like, seriously, things that I teach my clients, they're teaching their adult children. Like, how amazing is that? Like, I just taught a class last week on when you have chronic pain in your body, how that's tied to emotional pain that's not been processed, and how the amygdala in your brain like takes over when you're in grief, and how that's why it's hard to think, and that's why, maybe now you're struggling with back pain or you're struggling with some other things, like how the brain works and the nervous system works, and just even things like that we get down into that people are changing the conversations that they have with their adult kids, which is amazing. So you can sign up for a consult call. It's not a big sales thing, okay? I'm going to ask you some questions about where you are in some of these different categories, and you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. And we're going to talk about, like, let's say you're thinking about confidence. and you say, okay, my confidence right now is a 4. I'm like, okay, right now it's a 4. Let's talk about why. And if it was like an 8 or a 9, what would that look like? What would that feel like? Like, let's talk about the gap between the 4 and the 9. And then I walk through how I would help you get there. Or if you're not sure, you're like, I don't know. I just know it's not this. Then I can give you examples of how I have helped other people go from a 3 to a 9, or a 2 to an 8, or a 4 to a 10. Like my clients and my academy students, they track those areas every single week. So every week we're watching. How are you rating your confidence? How are you rating your sense of direction and moving forward? How are you rating how you're processing your grief? Like we track those every week. So every week we can see how the numbers are moving and how you can track something like how do you track confidence? In the Brave Widow Academy, we do it. So if you want to schedule a consult call, you go to Brave Widow. There's a button that says Let's Chat. You just click on that. You pick the day and time you want to do a consult for. And I normally don't ever do consults on Friday or Saturday. But this week, I'm going out of town for a few days with my dad, and he's going to be in a conference on Friday and Saturday. So I have some time on Friday and I have some time on Saturday that I'm going to be doing consult calls where I normally don't. So if those work better for you than during the typical week, you can pick that date and time. You just put your name, your email. You can either do it on Zoom or you can do it over the phone if you're camera shy. And then you just hit book at the bottom and that's it. You schedule your consult. So who is the Brave Widow Academy for? Is for people who feel stuck, for people who are wondering, like, what's next? What am I supposed to do? For people who are just tired of waiting to feel better. People who want guidance, they want structure, they want to know, like, what are the things that I'm supposed to do next? And you can go to bravewidow.com. I've got some screenshots here, but you can see just screenshots of what my clients are saying. Okay. You can watch videos of, like, here, videos of clients that I have coached that are telling their story, telling what they experienced, or they're just, giving a recommendation based on having worked with me. Um, you can go and read those stories and hear those stories and see which one might resonate with you. But I would love to see you in the academy. And my question to you would be, if it's not the academy, and it's not for everybody, it's really not. I can help you decide if it would be a good fit for you. But if it's not the academy, my question for you would be, what will it be? Because we know time alone doesn't help. It's what we do with the time that really matters. And so, whether or not you join the academy, whether or not you do one-on-one coaching, like it doesn't hurt my feelings. Okay. But I would love for you to join the academy because I love to see people who grow, who really change over the course of that time and who are taking those brave steps forward. I have 15 people who are in the academy that's going on right now, and I have 4 people that have already pre-enrolled for the November class. So if you pre-enroll early, you get those bonus one-on-one calls, you get the bonus early access and the group pre-calls. So you have a lot of support if you join early, and you'll be joining the 4 other people that are already signed up. So once we get everybody in the app, then we can start meeting each other and getting to know each other. So, if you have any questions, type that in the chat. Um, if you're interested in the academy, you can go to bravewidow.com and learn about that. I do one-on-one coaching as well, for people who either want more of the full support, like hands-on support. One-on-one is really good for that. And if you do one-on-one coaching, then the academy is included in part of that. But the academy is really what I wanted to share with you today. All right. Well, it has been another amazing live with you guys. And I would love to see you in the academy. And until next time, I will say goodbye for now.